PAC CLI is a command line interface that allows pro devs to automate Power Platform, and today Kartik shows how to get started in just 30 seconds right in a browser, and then how to automate hundreds of deployments in a way that's 10 times faster than today, all on PAC CLI Live. Welcome to PAC CLI Live. My name is Phil Topness on the PowerCat team, and today I'm here with Kartik Kanakasabesan. Hey, Kartik.
Hey, Phil. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, living the dream, buddy. Living the dream.
So I'm excited to talk about the PAC CLI today, but first talk a little bit about how you got this role in Microsoft.
I've only been in Microsoft for 5 years, but before that, I've been with ALM for I started my career with ALM. So that's something that's very close to my heart in the way organizations build and deliver their software capability. In Microsoft, my journey has been from Azure security to now getting back into low-code, no-code platforms.
And so you're bringing the pro-code to the low-code, no-code platform with the PAC CLI. Talk about what a PAC CLI is and why we need a command line interface for Power Platform.
Perfect. So let me kind of take a step back here before we get into the PAC CLI part. Is the raison d'etre, if you will, for PAC CLI is because we're seeing a common pattern when people are developing and deploying applications. It's not just the front end piece from a Power Apps perspective. There's a template, if you will, of way these applications are deployed. As in, there are front end components that are Power Apps based, right? But there are also back end Azure components that are orchestrated together. So this is what our definition of fusion development is. It's wonderful, the fact that we're able to build things faster, quicker, better on the citizen developer side, but it needs to have the commensurate set of services that are being built by code first developers, right? Yeah. And together they go ahead and deploy a usable app for an organization in that context. And what was the reason for PAC CLI was to make sure that code first developers and citizen developers worked well together. So that was kind of a quick reason of kind of why PAC CLI even exists in the first place. So in that context, we decided, how can we go ahead and simplify the entry point for pro devs to kind of be part of that entire cohesive journey in that context. And so this has now become the basis for a lot of other capabilities that we're bringing to bear. So our VS Code integration that we've bought, that's based on this. The GitHub Actions and Azure DevOps tasks that we have that are also based on this CLI. So like I said, CLI is a kind of a little bit of a misnomer, but in the grand scheme of things, this is the kind of a bedrock capability that we're trying to go bring in that standardizes the way pro devs and citizen devs can collaborate effectively with each other.
So if I'm new to PAC CLI, show me, how do I get started?
So there are several ways that you can actually consume PAC CLI. We have a standalone CLI that's available on Windows. Okay. But when you're consuming this through VS Code, we have support for it on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And one of the new capabilities that I'm going to show you now here is within GitHub, we have the ability of something called as code space, which is essentially a developer ID right inside your browser running on top of Git as your file system. All right. Now, typically when we get started with Git, we go into code and we select and we want to either clone or do something of that nature. I'm not going to go do that. Here, I have a code space. All right. So I'm just going to click on that. All right. And this is going to start up my code space. It's all it's doing is going and setting up the container, letting and instantiating VS Code in it. And within that environment in and of itself, all right, I'll now go into extensions. This is actually now going into the VS Code marketplace. All right. And listing out all the different extensions that are available in the marketplace. So if I now here go and select Power Platform, you'll see we have Power Platform tools right there itself. And the extension itself is pretty savvy in the sense it understands that you're about to install it in code space, or if you're going to install it locally on your own VS Code instance here. All right. And now the container where it's getting installed is actually running Linux. All right. So here it's already gone ahead and installed. Now let me go ahead and select terminal. I'm going to select a new terminal just to prove the fact that it's actually working. And here we go. All right. Now if I type in PAC, there it is. Here's an example. Now, one of the cool things that we've actually gone ahead and incorporated within PAC CLI is the ability to go ahead and authenticate directly to our environment. So in this case, I'm now going to go ahead and authenticate to my Power Platform environment and then see a list of all the solutions and other capabilities that it has to go ahead and offer. And as you notice, now that I've got the Power Platform tool installed, I actually have a little icon that shows up on the activity pane on VS Code itself. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the following. And now this is the cool part. Unlike in prior command line experiences where you have to provide the username and password directly, you can now use device code authentication. Let's see, I'm going to go select this over here, which is my device code, and then go to that URL. All right, and specify the device code. Hit next. All right, specify that. It'll go ahead and say, yep, this is sanctioned. So again, throughout this entire process, Phil, you didn't even see my password, right?
I did not see your password.
There you go.
I assume it's under keyboard right where you left it.
Exactly. So there you are. All right, now I'm authenticated to my environment. I can actually do things like PAC solution list, and it'll give me a list of all the solutions that are running in my environment to which I've authenticated to. In addition to that, this particular applet that I have, I can do the same thing. So instead of doing PAC solution list, I have my different auth profiles. So every environment that I've authenticated to, all lists over here. Now imagine, as a pro dev in the past, if I had to go find simple things like that, I'd have to first go into the Studio app or go to the admin UI, figure out what the URL is, come back and do all this other work. This is now baked in directly as part of this thing.
So with that demo, you got us started. What are some of the more complex things that you see enterprises doing with PAC CLI?
One of the first things that is for pro devs that have things like with PA portals. PA portals are now available within PAC CLI. So you can upload, download, author your fancy portal experience in that context. You can also now do PCF development directly within PAC CLI itself. You can also initialize solutions. And if you're ISVs are, we have a large ecosystem of ISVs that are building solutions on top of our platform. We allow them to create packages in a much easier way. Packages are a construct that allow ISVs to deploy that more effectively. In addition to that, some of the things that we're doing, and this is one of the examples I want to kind of show you is there's this notion of something called as cloud native application bundling. It's an open source specification, right? But what it does, it allows you to package your front end and back end applications and orchestrate them together based on different environments. So one of the examples that I want to kind of talk to you about is here's one very large customer where they have to deploy this template of resources across 1,500 different jurisdictions because these are all the different laws they have. They have different data residency rules as such. And in the past, to do this, they had to manually go ahead and do this. They had a nice little CSV file where they had all the details put in, and then they had a PowerShell script that would go parse that CSV file and deploy this particular template of how these applications were to be deployed. We simplified a lot of that work. So now we have a Power App where someone can specify all the information, and they have this nice big red easy button that they can go press, and then starts off this orchestration process. So all the Azure processes get orchestrated via ARM, so Azure Resource Manager. And then all the Park platform assets all get orchestrated through PAC CLI. All right. And then
it's literally a red easy button.
Oh, yeah. Here we're using Porter as an example. Porter is the scripting language that we're using to go ahead and deploy into a target environment. All right. So in this case, Porter has wrapped itself on top of PAC CLI. And under the covers, it's actually calling PAC CLI. So here, what I'm doing is I'm creating a net new environment. So building that entire thing from the ground up, importing an app that I'm going to go ahead and test, and then tearing it all down. All right. So again, throughout this entire process, there's no PAC command that you see, but it's actually being called under the covers. So here, what I've done is I've created a new environment. So I've authenticated to an environment, created the connection, and here I have my net new environment inside my admin console. So the environment that I just created through Portal, I can actually see it's got a URL. The model app environment looks exactly there. So I can now look at, this is just like anything else. This is my solution health hub app that I'm looking at right now. And then from there, I imported a Canvas app as part of this testing effort. So now when I go look at the Canvas app, it's a fully functioning app. All right. Here, I'm going to go do some of my testing that I want to go do. Now that I'm done with my testing, I want to tear it all down. And again, here, I'm going to use a Porter command, not a PAC command, because Porter's, again, calling PAC CLI under the covers. And there it is. Now it's gone ahead and removed that environment completely. And if I now look at the status from the Porter command itself on the list of installations, it just tells me that the environment's been uninstalled. So this is just some of the example of what PAC CLI can now enable. That was not the case before.
So what do you have planned for PAC CLI?
A lot of new features. We just recently GA'd the VS Code extension. So that is, again, a big milestone for us to have gone ahead and reach, because it has expanded the breadth of all the platform coverage that we never had before to now what we have. In addition to that, we're also bringing in various different Power Platform components and making them code-first citizens. So one of the big features that we're currently working on is making sure that making it easier for pro devs to go deploy custom connectors, right? And that's been a big ask from a lot of pro devs and a lot of enterprises in that context. So that's one of the things that PAC CLI now will enable. In addition to that, we're now available in sovereign environments as well. So sky's the limit. So anything that actually has a Studio analogous, our goal is to provide the appropriate set of capabilities directly within PAC CLI. In addition to that, just one thing I want to go ahead and mention, Azure DevOps tasks. We're in the process of taking all the PowerShell stuff off and re-platforming it completely based on PAC CLI. And just something to be aware of. It's actually 10 times faster than what it is with the PowerShell task. Yeah, exactly. So give it a shot. We're about to declare beta on the PAC CLI based Azure DevOps tasks. So give it a shot. Let us know, and very soon we'll also be declaring GA very soon by summer timeframe.
Well, Kartik, thanks for showing us all of this and an easy way to get started in code spaces with PAC CLI.
Thanks, Phil. It was awesome being here.
Now, before you go, we are making new videos every week. Click this Microsoft logo to subscribe and you'll be the first to see them. And look over here for a couple of videos that can make you a Power Platform expert.